What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Monday. We are on snow again. So thankful, getting some decent snow. Today we're going to talk about a topic that gets brought up all the time, and special thanks to those guys that are giving us ideas for content for the channel. And one of them this last week was explain the differences of when to ride neutral or when to ride opposite foot forward. Let's get into it. All right, so throughout the season, we teach riders the difference between riding opposite foot forward. You guys remember this from previous videos. You've heard me talk about this until we're blue in the face, right? So opposite foot on the running board, 40 degree on the running board so that we're collecting that outside running board traction, making that position up here, that strong box as we refer to, finger on the brake and looking ahead. The idea behind opposite foot forward and why we teach it a lot is, you know, snow is the variable. And when we're out here and we're in snow, that right now we've got some decent snow, but we've also got kind of a tricky layer underneath. There are times, especially when I'm riding, when I've got consequence. So I've got trees in front of me, I've got areas that I need to get around where it's not just about momentum, but it's about positioning so that I'm not working to death, I'm not killing myself out here, but I'm also staying in control. Opposite foot forward position, you can see what is happening here. I can apply pressure to the sled, but I also, with this foot out here on the snow, I can also kind of put a lot of my body weight out here, helping the sled either get out from a sticky situation and or just helping me keep my balance. This position right here versus being up on the sled, where I am really relying on momentum of the machine, I'm still taking my center of mass to the uphill side, but man, if I gotta go a lot faster and really rely on the snow condition in itself to help keep me on that path and keep me either directing in and around consequential terrain and or just keeping me from not being stuck. And so there is a time and a place for a neutral position riding style versus an opposite foot forward. So we're gonna show some examples of when it's totally 100% fine to be in neutral and then when it'd be almost necessary to be an opposite foot forward. Man, that's super tough right there. All right, now we'll try opposite foot forward. See how much slower and how much more control I can have. All right, so even in just a couple of turns, you know, on a relatively mellow slope, I think a lot of you guys are looking at this like, man, I could ride every bit of that and stay in the neutral position. Here's where it changes. It's kind of snow specific. I think there'll be a lot of people watching the video nodding and saying, yeah, when it's thin snow or there is some funky layers that are happening here because we got snow a while ago, but it's just been frozen over time and now we got this crazy layer. Trying to be in the neutral position, it requires more speed, and so I'm coming down into this stuff, watching the front end kind of punch through that snow. And a lot of times when I am neutral, my body position, even my feet, are quite a ways forward on the sled. Well, when that happens and that sled dips down into there, I give it gas to get out of there, and I immediately find myself kind of getting bucked around back and forth, whereas opposite foot forward, I step out there, I crunch down into the snow the same way, but because I've got that foot out there against the snow, man, the balance point and then the overall control with the speed, even with the speed still involved, it just feels a lot more controlled, and I feel like I'm working a lot less in that opposite foot forward position. So something to remember is when the snow is good, and we all know what that looks like, or we have an idea of it. When snow is good, you can get away with a lot of riding, and even in a lot of different riding environments, staying in the neutral position. And honestly, there's really nothing more fun than trying to stay neutral on the sled and just relying on just sort of looking and leaning. Everybody that's been to Next Level heard me say that so many times, where I look and I lean, and because of that deep, deep good snow that we're in, the snowmobile just goes the direction that you want to go. And as long as we can stay still being an anticipated rider, man, you can get away with riding in a lot of those situations all in the neutral position. When the snow changes, and why having opposite foot forward riding as a tool for the toolbox, both left side and right side, is that we don't always get to predict the snow. You're in a big open field, yeah, pick up some speed, stay in the neutral, look ahead, and let's just link some turns, ride to that rhythm. Next thing you know, you bomb off of something, turns into a bit more of a technical situation, being able to jump from neutral position to opposite foot forward, left or right, and still maintain your speed and your control. And remember, the entire time, we're still using our brakes to control that speed. What a great opportunity for us to, have all of those necessary fundamentals so that as we ride and as things change, as far as condition, steepness of hill, or just the environment that we're in, we can ride all of that stuff with confidence, both neutral and in opposite foot forward. All right, so as you can see, trying to stay neutral, right side, kind of punchy snowpack. I mean, I'm really putting a lot of effort into holding the sled to the uphill side, trying to maintain like where I'm at on the sled. The moment that layer kind of punched through and that uphill ski kind of dove into there, I'm getting kind of thrown forward. Now I'm back seated, giving it gas, trying to recover. Steeper slope, different situation, and maybe I'm either planted against the hillside and or I'm rolling down the hill. Now I'll go through, shadow that line, opposite foot forward, and we'll see how much more control I can go through. Okay, so the reason why an opposite foot forward riding position is going to work better in terrain like that is, like we have talked about before, the condition of the snow. I've got quite a few layers that we're messing with today, and that doesn't mean that that's going to be like that all the time. Heck, we got good enough snow, there's going to be a ton of you that comment, I would go through their neutral position any day of the week on a turbo as fast as I could go, and that's fantastic. Again, the video and the idea behind it is, when is it easier? When is it more controlled? And just coming through there, I can tell by my breathing, I can tell by my positioning, being able to follow that line nearly exactly, that being in the opposite foot forward position was not only a way for me to slow it down and really focus on position of the sled. Relatively steep hill back there, but I'm able to take the steepness out of the hill by having the sled in the right position. So I'm able to do it in more control, slow down if I needed to, and finger on the brake, looking ahead. I get over here and I'm not out of breath. I'm not, holy cow, I kind of got lucky going through there in the neutral. And so that's just one of those situations where being in the right position on the sled, whether it is neutral or opposite foot forward, are again, great techniques to have. Another example of, and this you guys can kind of think of this how you'd like to, but when I'm headed uphill, when I'm off trail, it's deep snow, it's a steep slope, the idea about being in the neutral position is about the best opportunity that you and your sled have to build momentum, right? When the track is in the snow. A lot of times when we're on edge and we're using this much of the track, it requires a lot more throttle, and a lot of times in deep, deep snow, a lot more of us sort of pedaling along, and it's because, well, we're not using all 15 inches of the track to build momentum. So as I come up a hill and I'm riding up through the trees, the idea to stay neutral is your best position ever. Remember that when we go uphill, just like that common mistakes video, my feet are back, my body is forward. I'd like to try to keep my center of mass. Guy's center of mass is from here to here. Gal's center of mass is just above her boobs to below her butt. We need to keep that forward on the sled. I want the sled to stay planted as I'm coming uphill trying to make direction changes. Once I come up the hill and I'm ready to start my side hill, both left or right side, remember that that's that crucial time. I'm going to direct the sled in the direction that I want to go, but then from there I'm either going to initiate counter steer and go into a right or left side neutral position turn, or I'm going to make that hop to the uphill side, get opposite foot forward, and then start my side hill in an opposite foot forward position. All right, so again, came up the hill, up the fall line in the neutral position. You guys notice I made a position change. Pretty steep, pretty deep snow right here. Steep enough slope that having my feet back, body forward, I mean, you could already see my skis popping up in the air. Where guys will screw up is they don't make a position change. They come up the hill, they're actually pulling back, leaning back, allowing that sled to be way up in the air, and wonder why they're fixed into the fall line and they can't turn left or right. If I don't get that positioning forward, I'm not able to steer my sled in the direction I want to go. I was able to stay forward, make a direction change, and then as soon as I did, I got a little bit of time there, hop over to the uphill side of the sled, set that snowmobile, take the steepness out of the hill, and look at me now. I'm horizontal to a steep slope. I'm not stuck, and now I can make a plan to proceed. All right. Well, you guys, that wraps up another one. You guys remember, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, a lot of comments about riding styles, when to be opposite foot forward, when it's okay to ride neutral. I just wanted to come up with some examples of why one position could work better than the other. And remember that it's all about snow conditions. We're going to remember, once again, we're going to always wear a tether when we're riding, always wear one of these things. You guys, thanks so much for all your support. Remember to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.